Pro MMA here with Brendan Lees, the managing director of Lionheart FC. Brendan, this is our first time here, and I understand this is the fifth event, the fourth event?
It's the fourth event, yes, but it's the second under the Lionheart Fighting Championships. Yeah.
And where has this sort of this promotion grown from? Why did you bring this?
I started Lionheart as sort of more of a passion, really, 2 years ago. I got involved in mixed martial arts approximately 10 years ago, when I was 40. Hence I've just wrote a book called Hitting 40, but that's besides the point. But it was, I'd been in hospital over with a nervous breakdown, which followed by a triple heart bypass. And I found MMA, mixed martial arts, a fantastic way of healing when I was very sick. And what I'm doing with Lionheart is trying to put something back into a sport that has helped me physically and emotionally. It's also, I've been a businessman in this area for over 25 years, and I believe that the more we can put back into youth, especially in this day and age, is the better we eventually will have a better society.
That's something I'd like to ask about, because we were fortunate enough to be here early on where you had an interclub amateur. It was an interclub amateur fights competition, and then later this evening we have the main card. How important to you are those interclub, that kind of grassroots level?
I think the interclub. I very first started going to a few interclubs with John Roberts a good few years ago, where you'd literally turn up and for want of a better word, you'd be in a very basic area with people sitting on the floor. I think what you've got to do in order to enhance the sport, and also young guys who have been in the sport probably less than 12 months, is to actually give them a feel of what they watch on the television, why they're in the gyms in the first place. And with that, going actually into the cage during the day that's set up for a more professional evening show, it allows them to have a feel, it allows them to have their own audience with their families, and also with no headshots, it's obviously a relatively safe way of coming into the sport with a little bit of spice for them.
Yeah, I must admit that until this afternoon, if I'm honest, I've never been a fan of the mixed rule sets. I don't like amateur A, B, C, F, fight with one glove. But for this venue and for those fighters, it seems to me an absolutely essential way of getting them used to competing in front of a crowd, in the cage. Is that something that you're going to keep? Are you going to always work towards this?
It's something we've promoted over the last two Lionheart Fighting Championship events. It's something that any would-be or aspiring mixed martial artist, they all want to know, where do they start, how do they get involved, how do they go to the bigger organisations. And it starts really with reputable sponsors, reputable events where you've got everything covered from the medical and also professional people around them. So my main key to any card that Lionheart are involved in is to make sure that everyone leaves here safely after a good event of sport.
I think it was about 12 months ago there was this great big hoopla and bad media about two young lads in a cage having a cage fight, and here we had a 12 and 15-year-old lad competing against one another. Do you think that people need to come and see what is entailed when they fight, as opposed to just making the judgment, oh, there were two kids in a cage?
I think at the end of the day, there was a lot of bad publicity, as you can recall, about evening shows with people and alcohol and various other things that are mixed with it. Young kids are watching their sky. They're watching their heroes portray in the cage at a very high extreme level that is virtually overtaking purse power of boxing, various other sports. But for them to aspire to that level, I would like to have them in again, and I must stress, the safest environment we can, with exceptionally qualified referees and also good medical assistance. It is no more dangerous, in my opinion, with the training that these young men go through, young children go through rather, than any ABA event. We have got no headshots. We have got something from time immemorial in wrestling, and all you want is a safe event, but these kids, whether they come to us to do it or practice outside on their garden, they're going to be doing it.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, and it was shown today in one of the fights. A guillotine was locked in fairly tight, and the referee made the move. And again, I think that's the sort of thing that we don't hear enough about or see enough about. And I think Lionheart need to be commended for that.
Thank you.
It's not just about Lionheart MMA, though. There's a charity or a philanthropic sort of side to this, where you're investing everything. Well, I tell the people, because what you're doing with the money is absolutely phenomenal.
I think. Listen, I get, like I said, I have taken personally a lot out of mixed martial arts to allow me to be standing here today. I've also been in a situation where I wanted to put something back into a sport that I'm very passionate about. And I'm fortunate to say that we have been running Lionheart now for over 2 years. We're probably raised to put back into grassroots and also to young people over £30,000 in the last 2 years. Every pound that's made from our events, like we see today, this is a pinnacle of every kid you will see fighting through these doors from, and I'll go on to the UTC in a minute, have been through the Lionheart process, have been trained as beginners and gone then through to the UTC levels to see the quality that you will see tonight. So for me, that is what I get out of it. It is basically the better money we raise, the more money I can have to buy equipment, put into grassroots. I'm not saying that this is going to be one gym. I think it's a thing that we could possibly look at to spin off around and place areas that are not as fortunate or less fortunate, that we may be able to put some Lionheart money elsewhere. But everything has to start somewhere. Again, as I say, I'm very passionate with it, and a lot of the young lads from UTC who are fighting now have actually been involved some way with Lionheart.
I think it says something about the promotion that this isn't. You're not out to make a buck. You're out to create a better sort of view of the sport for people.
I think at the end of the day, you've also had a situation where companies have all been, a lot of companies, especially UK companies, have been very sit on the fence as regards mixed martial arts in general in terms of support. I've actually been to companies to sit down and put my name against the sport that I believe has had quite a lot of bad press but I'm very well to be supported. We have 12 tables of sponsors this evening, and also I must point, the Lionheart started and still runs very healthily as an over 40s self-protection and fitness program. We had our local MP come and train with one of my classes, and this is what we still have today. It has been geared from that. We are now letting young people who have never done anything join a Lionheart class before they progress. But really it was there set up for the over 40s to be able to know they're going to get fit, but what they're putting into it, they're going to put back into kids. Yeah. That's that is how I look at it. And we still have it, we're there with my members. We self-protection, you know what society is today, fitness, and the Prime Minister and everybody enhances how we should all keep fit. So, but we still have a curry night all together.
Fantastic. You get the important stuff done
exactly.
as well. Look, how many of these events can we expect to see over sort of the next 12 months? Is this sort of...
Well, what I must also point out how we've done this event, we've been associated with the UTC at Cannock here with a very close and dear friend of mine, John Roberts. John has been in mixed martial arts for over 40 years and has been my partner to help me bring Lionheart to how it is. I've been able to support John, John has been able to support me, and my involvement with John came from, I was very ill and John started me on the route forward. So we both work very hard, hand in glove, so we can run 2 Lionheart classes each week. John puts all his time in voluntary, and I also in turn help buy equipment in order that goes back in. Yeah. And I must stress that Men like John Roberts have always been the silent ambassadors of our sport, and a man who has produced UFC fighters, produced world champions, and to have him there as our figurehead for these young people is only inspirational, not only to them but also to me.
I want to thank you very much for spending some time with us. I know you're going to be very, very busy. Before we let you go, you've talked about sponsors, you've talked about people involved. Is anyone you'd like to give a shout out? Anybody you'd like to thank? Because
we look, everyone, from what's been great for me, everything that we have running today has all been done with voluntary people. I can't break it down, from sponsors, from Lionheart members running around, from everyone, including yourselves, to come to one of our events is special. My main aim is to get the name of Lionheart out there and the principles for it. I think if we can all follow that, all take something from what we're trying to achieve, and let's put it across on a national basis, and let's do something special for a change, you know? That is what I feel.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to an exciting set of fights tonight. Before I let you go, is there anybody we should look out for tonight? Is there anybody that...
Oh, well, I've got quite a few really, but young Jack Owen trains exceptionally hard, very, very passionate with the sport. Coming through now, I think Jack's had 4 or 5 fights now on an undefeated run. And of course what we have is also our Tim Wilde, who is fighting top of the bill for his first professional fight this evening. I've been privileged to corner with Tim and start him on his jiu-jitsu way, and in my opinion will be an added bonus to any of the professional circuits out there, subject to wins.
Wonderful. Brendan, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure.